Hello, everyone. I've put a link to today's presentation in the chat if you're able to access it. Thank you. We're going to get started in just a few minutes. I've changed the settings so that people can unmute themselves. Corinne, are you able to unmute yourself?
Hi, yes, I am. So we're just having little technical difficulties of trying to share it, the slide presentation as we're talking. That's the only.
I can share it for you if that would help.
Yes, that definitely would help.
Okay, great. Why don't we wait a few more minutes so that we make sure we have everybody on board. And just so everyone knows, this invite has gone out to the entire school district, all staff, our teaching staff, custodial staff, clerical staff, everybody's on board here. So we're looking forward to it, and we'll begin in just a few minutes. For those of you who just joined, the link to the presentation is in the chat if you want to follow along that way.
Because I just sent the one. I just did.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, like I literally just sent it.
Okay.
The only thing that didn't save was the
Did the
titles.
slides? Remember we changed the slides?
Yeah, let me see.
Corinne, is there anybody else from your team that needs to be a co-host?
Yeah, nobody else from our team they're sitting right here. I just updated a slideshow, so I just have to resave it and send it back to you, Diane, just so that way you can show it.
Okay.
Thank you for this. Thank you for your patience. Okay, so Diane, we're gonna get started. I just sent them to you, so we'll just introduce ourselves while you share them. Okay, you're muted. Okay. So I am Major. Yep. I'm just gonna take my mask off. So I'm definitely not good at technology, or just learning it as you guys are as well, maybe. I'm Major Corinne Kennedy, and I'm with the Rhode Island Army National Guard, but more importantly, we're part of the Rhode Island Education Department outreach team that got set up to help all the school systems communicate back and forth to all the different agencies that we're having going on. So, so we're going to get started. We're going to talk a little bit about how COVID affects and gives us kind of anxiety and everything like that. So one of the first questions I have is if everyone can kind of go into the chat room, and what comes to mind when I say the word COVID? Like, how does that manifest in your thoughts and feelings? So I'm going to give you a few minutes to just kind of throw out some words, sentences into the chat room. Oh, that's great. Yes, scared, extreme change. That's always good. Unreal, I think a lot of people, nervousness, isolation, danger, death, anxiety, yeah, death, right? So fear, man, that is awesome. I just want to go back. I did not introduce what my background is, but I am a social worker, a licensed LICSW, and I'm the behavioral health officer for the state of Rhode Island. Sorry about that, but those are really great words that you're associating with anxiety, right? Few, frustration, tiredness, loneliness, unknown, PPE. I really like that one. That is definitely a good one. So I just kind of want to, really identify some of those fears and anxieties that we have around this word COVID, because it means so much. From March to now means a whole different world for us. And how we have those anxieties and those beliefs around COVID is really what manifests kind of our beliefs and how our behaviors are, and how our behaviors can be affected or portrayed in the classroom. So I want to take a few minutes to kind of explore that. So,
I still have not received the presentation.
sorry.
That's okay. Could just be slow coming in.
Okay, maybe try to refresh it now.
Nope.
No. Let me see. Yeah, this is definitely some of the anxiety that could happen, right, when we're virtual teaching now. Diana says that it went through. I don't know if you see it yet. Might take a few minutes.
There we go. Got it. Okay.
Okay, perfect. So much better. So as we're trying to get up the presentation, how does those beliefs around COVID affect your behaviors? So I want to have you guys take a few minutes to just kind of go into the chat room and explore, how does feeling loneliness, tired, frustrated affect how we're acting nowadays?
Are you able to see the screen?
Yes, I am. If you can just, I think it's like 3 or 4. I think we're maybe 3 into it. It's how beliefs affect our behaviors. Right. So some of the beliefs that we have is, can't concentrate, can't clearly think. And those are some of the behaviors is really affecting how we're thinking about things and feeling stressed, right? So you keep on thinking like, oh my God, how can I do this? What's going on? Unmotivated, right? So if we're feeling down, depressed, sad, anxious, right, we tend to get unmotivated, or it's hard to concentrate. Feeling easy, very moody, can't sleep, a lot of unknowns, a lot of feeling standoffish, right? So if Diane, if you can go back one slide.
Back one more than that?
That one, perfect.
Okay.
Right, so let's just kind of think about how beliefs are the invisible face behind our behaviors. And we want some people to just take a few minutes to really think about that. What does that mean to you? Throw in a couple of comments into the chat room. Dan's almost in. Yeah, so our beliefs are shaping our behaviors, correct? So if we're feeling a certain way, right, we are being able to change how we're behaving, right? So if we're feeling sad or upset or depressed, right, our behaviors is going to be that unmotivated, can't concentrate, can't get the work done, being less proactive. You know, yeah, beliefs are definitely, you know, on our uncertainties, right? We have a lot of uncertainties and overthinking things. So just going into a little bit of cognitive behavioral therapy is that, right, we have a situation, and the situation is going into the classroom in this pandemic and how this has changed us and changed everybody, right? We're wearing masks and we can't only see this much of everyone's face. And there's a lot of uncertainties about this, but how we think about it, right? So if we're dreading it, if we're saying, oh my God, I am teaching in the middle of a pandemic and I you know, if I go into the classroom, you know, I might get COVID and that's going to be stressful for me and my family, and kind of keep thinking on those paths, right? We're going to bring up feelings of feeling sad, depressed, isolated, scared, fearful. And those feelings are kind of that invisible face behind why we're going to be acting a certain way. And we need to really make sure that we understand how this is all connected so we can be a little bit more self-aware. So I just want to go to the next slide and explore a little bit more about anxiety, because we all have anxiety. So back in the caveman days, we had anxiety, and the whole purpose of anxiety was our body's natural way to respond to stress. So when we were back in the caveman days, we were going out and trying to find food, forage for food, hunt for food. And when they would get anxiety, right, they become hyper aware. And when they start becoming hyper aware, right, we have these physical reactions to our bodies of the increase of sweating, the heart rate feel like it's racing, maybe the need for thirstiness. But the whole point of why it was built into us was to keep us safe, right? But we also have good types of anxiety. And granted, we don't have, you know, don't need to go hunt for food anymore, but we do have good types of anxiety too. Like on a normal school year, I'm pretty sure everyone has a little anxiety of the first day of classroom, but being excited at the same time, right? Being able to prepare and look forward to seeing all the kids. And now we have anxiety with a mixture of all these different emotions. You know, we have the emotion of feeling excited to see the kids and to be back into somewhat of a normal routine. And then also this anxiety around being scared and sad and lonely and uncertain about what is going to happen next and how is this school year going to play out. And I know you guys are all planners because teachers are best at that, and not being able to really plan too far ahead because it might change, right? We're going to be constantly in this changing environment. So we kind of need to be aware about how our anxiety is manifesting in our bodies and be aware how we're going to project that when we're standing in front of the classroom. So Diane, if you can do the next slide for me, please.
There we go.
Yep. So what is self-awareness, and why do we need self-awareness? So let's just take a few minutes to throw a couple of different ideas in the chat box. Yeah, that's excellent. Knowing what we're capable of ourselves, right? That is part of being self-aware. You know, knowing our right and left limits and understanding them, and being able to know what our limitations might be and being motivated to maybe push and go forward, knowing strength and weaknesses, being aware of how we're feeling and why. And that's really the big one, right? Being able to recognize our changes in our moods and our bodies. I mean, that is definitely awesome. Being proactive and being able to ask for help. So these are all great things of why we need to be self-aware and what it means to be self-aware. And we also need to be self-aware of how, right, going back to the situation and the thoughts and the feelings, and how when we're thinking about a situation, if we're thinking about it in a negative way, we're going to end up having negative feelings about it, and our behaviors are going to tend to be negative. So it might be being a little standoffish, and we need to be able to go, okay, why am I acting this way? You know, what thoughts am I having about this? How can I change these thoughts into a different way? And how can I change it to being like, oh, instead of thinking about, you know, going into the classroom and being fearful and sad, maybe I'm going to think about like, oh my goodness, you know, I'm going to be able to see, you know, Jose or Mary or Jane and check in on them because I haven't seen them since March. And that's going to give a different feeling of compassion, and then our behaviors are going to be a little bit more outgoing, a little bit more at ease. Next slide.
Oh, sorry.
That's okay. So we talked a little bit about being self-aware and how, you know, our situations and thoughts and feelings are connected to our behaviors, but what are other ways we can do to decrease our anxiety around COVID for ourselves? Just take a few minutes to type in a couple of suggestions or ideas that you might have. Run. Well, we can't run or stay home, so that's going to be out of it. Yeah, deep breathing is an excellent way to do, is to kind of take those deep breaths and meditate. Exercise, that's another way. Going outside, listening to music. Lunchtime walk. That's awesome. Change your space. That's good. Yeah, so if you're feeling anxious in one area, if you can take a walk or take a step out to get back, take care of yourself, gardening. Yeah, these are all examples. Yep, these are all examples of resiliency and what we can do to be a resilient person. So I'm going to have Amy Kane join us, and she's going to talk a little bit more about some of our resiliency skills.
Thank you, Corinne. We're just making the change here. Thank you. Super excited to be able to be here today. Bristol has a place in my heart. My daughter graduated class of 2017. Morgan Kane getting ready to graduate from the academy, the Naval Academy this year. So Bristol will always have a special place in my heart. Next slide, please. Resilience. Slide, please.
Is that
Okay, I'm gonna do it. What I'm going to do is just go over a general overview of some resilient training skills. I was with Pawtucket School Department for 20 years, 12 years in the classroom, 8 years in the guidance office, working as guidance counselor. So I know those waking up in the middle of the night, those little anxiety dreams that teachers always get, you know, the last part of August and going into September. So I want you to know that I do come with a little bit of experience behind me in education. I've also been the National Guard for over 25 years, 6 years active duty. And I love MRT, and I'm going to talk to you about the Master Resilience program that we run, not only in the Department of Defense, but in the Army. Next slide, please. So I'm going to go ahead and talk, like I said, this is the agenda. We're just going to talk about what is resilience and talk about MRT. We do have a lot of tools in our toolkit that we offer. Again, I've trained with the state police and all the junior police forces throughout the state, working with kids. And then we're going to actually do a practical exercise that you can use with your family, yourself, and your students, I hope. Okay. A lot of MRT, the resilience training, is I like to call commonsensical things that we do normally. We just put terms to them, or we just remind ourselves, like deep breathing, you know, to calm down, that type of thing. Next slide, please. Okay, so what is resilience? Okay, and analogies are great working with kids, right? So if I were to squeeze this, I don't know if Jeff Keegan is on the phone, on the line here. He was Morgan's tennis coach. So, if you think about a tennis ball and in your mind's eye, you kind of squeeze it, that if you put stress or anxiety on the tennis ball, it's going to come right back to its shape, right? So it can take a lot of stress and bounce right back. If I drop it, it bounces back. Then we have this egg. I don't think you or I will like it too much if I drop this egg right now or, throw it on the wall because it will break. Oh, look, just perfect timing. The custodian just walked in. So he would not like it if I just threw this because it's not resilient, right? Strong resilience, not so much. So in life, we like to tell, I used to tell my students and I like to tell my soldiers, you want to be the tennis ball, be able to bounce back and slide, not the egg. Okay, go ahead and click again. Thank you. And then one more click. There we go. So the Mass Resilience Training Program, it started in the United States Army in 2009. The Army was very concerned. A lot of people were coming back from deployments. That was that time where a lot of deployments were going on. You have Charlie Battery in your backyard, now Bravo Battery, the 103rd Field Artillery. So I'm sure, you were seeing troops locally go out the door, maybe even have some family members that were in the Guard or active duty that went out, went out the door in the early 2000s. Well, they were coming back into service and they were not coming back whole. And the Army said, we need to make our soldiers whole. We need to make our families whole. We need to make their children whole. So they partnered up with UPenn and the Center for Positive Psychology. And they created this comprehensive soldiers family fitness. And why am I saying this? Well, I just want you to know that the military and DOD all wrap their heads around the resilience program because they know how important it is. And so does now the rest of, the world pretty much, how important it is to build these resilient skills. Next slide, please. So evidence has shown that resilient skills develop your ability to understand your thoughts and emotions, very similar to what, Corinne just talked about this. You control your thoughts, you can control your emotions, and then your behavior follows your action, right? The more resilient you are, it de-escalates yourself. You can overcome setbacks. You can focus on your tasks. It builds confidence, okay? And that's one thing that I would like to say I can attribute the Bristol Warren School Department from Rockwell to Kickamuick to Mount Hope helped build Morgan's confidence with all the programs that you have. So I will say, I can see through my daughter the resilience she has emulated because she involved herself in many programs, so building those, building the confidence. So an engaged student, a focused student is a more confident student, and that's what we want for all of them, right? Not just some of them, but all of them. If you click on the next slide, Denise, please. I don't know if you can, I don't know why that's doing that, but go ahead and keep clicking it maybe. Oh, okay, one more. Okay, so there we go. So there's a couple of pictures there of some pretty resilient kids. On the lower right-hand side, you have a picture of some students, some explorers. These are junior explorers wanting to become police officers from all over the state. And so they're at a rock climbing event that we held. And to the left, I just want to give a shout out. There's Morgan Kane and her roommate, Maddie. She's from Korea. So resilience right there. Next picture, please. Or next slide. Thank you. There were 14 skills that we talk about. These are all resilience skills, and they make up a shield, if you will. So these 14 skills are skills that we can offer for training, okay, or handouts if you need them. And so these are great for advisory, or just small blocks of instruction. So one of my favorite, we're going to talk about in a minute, is hunt the good stuff, okay? Something that a lot of people do, we just maybe in our mind, but maybe we need to talk or write them down more, Okay, and so we're going to talk about that in a second. Another one of my favorite is character strengths. You know, we tend to focus sometimes on what kids can't do, right? This block of instruction focuses on what kids do and do well. And that's what we should be focusing on. So it's a really exciting, very interactive unit. So it's character strengths, okay? So if at any time anyone is interested in any problem solving, detecting icebergs, avoiding thinking traps, you know, it's always them, why me, you know, those kind of exercises, we're available. So I just want to let you know. Next slide. Okay. A lot of people tend to, in their heads, think about what went wrong. Okay. What are we doing wrong? What that went wrong, this went wrong. And we tend to think of the negative things, you know, and that keeps setting up failure in our head, right? Because we keep looking for that negative bias all over the place, you know, and looking for negative things to kind of evaluate how we're feeling, right? Well, studies show that if you focus on positive, you know, or hang around maybe positive people or positive thoughts, that will spread. Okay. And the more positive emotions that you have in your life and surround yourself, right, the higher your life expectations become. Okay, that type of thing. And resilience builds with this. Okay. And so, for example, this morning, my coffee pot broke. Okay, I dropped the glass. Okay, so I didn't have a cup of coffee. I went to Dunkin' Donuts and I was driving to the drive-thru and the person behind me bought me a coffee. And that was awesome because I had my change bag out and I was getting ready to count it out, you know, one of those things. So the person behind me bought my coffee and I thought, oh, that is so awesome. Okay, what a great, you know, so that to me was my hunting the good stuff moment for today. Okay, I broke my coffee pot. It kind of sent me into a little bit of a loop, right? Oh, I don't have coffee and now I gotta go buy a coffee pot. When am I gonna have time to do this, right? I have to go stand in line maybe at a store. So these are all the thoughts that are going through my head. Somebody bought me a coffee, made me feel so much better. And when I think about my day, I go right to that moment, hunting the good stuff. Okay, so that will go into my journal tonight. I like to write down 2 good things that happened during the day, because then I can go back when I'm feeling down saying, well, it's not all sucky, right? Like we like to say, you know, it's not all bad. Okay, there are good things that happen and we have to go back and look, you know, and so that's why I like to journal things. Okay, we call that hunting the good stuff. Okay, go ahead and click that, click the button. Whoop. There we go. So this is an exercise that I like to do. You can do this as your kids, you know, if you put little stickies on their desk or, you know, for just an icebreaker, you know, tell me something good that happened today in school, or tell me something that happened last night. They can put it on the sticky, or they can just, you know, walk up to the tree, you know, that like 10, 15 minutes that you might need in the morning while you're taking attendance or you're doing a little administrative stuff on the side. This is a really nice exercise to get them to focus on maybe some positive things. Okay, so so I just wanted to share that with you. Again, journaling is always good, but getting people to write down, or even yourself to write down something good that's happened, will hopefully let you focus on more and more good things. Okay. Thoughts on this? I want to give you a couple of minutes and just something. I need to share this with my mom. I love it. Make time for yourself. Absolutely. Yeah. Every night. That's it. Well, maybe you can't do it every night, but once in a while. Okay. All right. Next slide. So that's just a short exercise. Hunt the good stuff. Keep hitting that button. Sorry about that. Some of the key principles out of this exercise: hunt the good stuff, builds optimism, right? Makes you feel good. Okay. The more these positive emotions, gratitude grows, right? It counteracts that negative bias where you're looking for the sad stuff and the bad thing. Overall, lessens depression, greater life satisfaction, right? Optimal performance, feeling calm. All of these 14 skills that come under this resilience training that we teach our members of the National Guard and in the DoD employees for the Rhode Island National Guard. All of these skills have, lead to optimism, gratitude, some type of growth. So that's the bottom line to all of these, right? To lead to these leadership traits that will enhance your leading, your life, that type of thing. Next slide, please. When can you use Hunt the Good Stuff? When could you? Great advisory activity, excellent. Flip grid question. That is an educational term that I'm not familiar with. So I'm sure, I'm gonna Google that. Okay, so this maybe you could use even at, some people use it at the dinner table, right? Student generated quick video. Got it. Okay, that's awesome. Okay, so you can use this anytime, anywhere, right? If you're outside and it starts raining and you've got maybe some youngins that are complaining about the cold or the rain or something, well, at least this is, it's one of those where you try to, let's think about something good though that's going on, right? So that's when you would use it in times that you might be feeling a little stressed or your students might be feeling a little stressed. That's when you want to start hunting the good stuff. Okay. Next slide, please. Any questions so far or comments? I'm not sure if this video is going to work, but I do have a video that kind of just goes into another type of skill that we could talk about, kind of stepping into it. So it's like a 4-minute video. It's the next slide.
So I'm at the airport and they've got this deal for 5 donuts for $5, which is an awesome deal because it's pretty much the same price as buying 3 donuts anyway, so it doesn't matter. And I set my stuff down and I pick up the paper and I start reading the paper and this guy sits down across from me. And so I, look over the paper and he kind of gives me a bit of a smile and give him a bit of a nod and I go back to reading the business section. A little while later, I hear this rustling on the table and I'm like, I look over and the guy, he's got his hand in the bag of donuts. Okay, that's a bit weird, but it doesn't really matter. The guy looks like he's homeless. He probably needs it more than I do. And I still have 4 donuts anyways, and I'm not going to eat all 4 donuts. So what do I care? So I reach in the bag and I grab a donut and I start eating. And I go back reading the paper. So I'm just getting.
Does it not want to play? Okay, so
Gone by, and there's this call on the loudspeaker for the next departure, and the guy gets up and he starts gathering up all this stuff, and he gets to the end of the table and he stops.
No.
And I see him out of the corner of my eye,
no,
and he reaches
I
in his bag.
just can't see it.
And I'm like, seriously? And he looks at me, he breaks it in 2, and he hands it to me. I reach out and I take this half, and I'm in total disbelief. And he kind of nods at me and he walks off. So while I'm sitting here pondering the absurdity of what's just happened, I hear the call for my flight. And so I get up and I grab my bag and I grab my jacket. And under my jacket is my bag of donuts. Not only was I eating that guy's donuts the whole time, And he didn't say anything. He took out his last donut and he broke it in half and gave it to me.
Okay, so I apologize that didn't, sometimes technology doesn't go quite the way that we want it to, right? But we have to bounce back from things. Plan B. So if you were able to get the message from that, that is a video that I like to show when we talk about assumptions, don't make assumptions on someone. So a gentleman had bought a bag of donuts, had 5 of them in it, he thought he put it on the table. An older gentleman who he assumed was homeless went into the bag and kept eating his donuts. And in his head, he was like, who does this guy think he is? And he was really upset, right? And so then come to find out, he had put his jacket on the bag of donuts. So he was eating the gentleman that he thought was homeless donuts, and he never said a word, and he actually shared the last one with him. So it's a really nice lesson to learn. It's a really good conversation starter, about making assumptions for people. So, that's just another short lesson that we would do, another tool in the toolbox, if you will, when it comes to these resilience skills that we have. All right, so I'm not sure, Maureen, I love that video. It is good. You have it now, on the slides, you can share that. Does anybody have any questions about the resilient 14 skills that I showed earlier, the shield, or anything else that I talked about thus far? Okay, just what we're going into this school year is unlike anything else. I want this audience here to know, and Diane, thank you, that the Education Operations Center is here for you. We're working with Jamestown on some PPE training, but we're here for you, whether it's social emotional training that you may need, or it's Department of Health questions you may have. We are the link between your LEA, the Department of Health, and RIDE, the governor's office.
Corinne and Amy, I just want to give a little background. And first of all, thank you both for your service and to your support to our schools. We are so thankful. Earlier this week, we had a meeting with the operations team, the Rhode Island Outreach Operations team, who are helping school districts around the state prepare for school. And they asked us what type of support that we needed. And we mentioned the need to make sure that we had emotional supports in place for our students and our staff. And they graciously offered to do this training for us. And we thought that it was perfect timing as we approach the start of the school year. And we have a lot of variables and certainly a lot going on and a lot on our minds. But they also offered to come back. So if there are folks that would like to dive deeper with this, they are offering to come back on our professional development days to work with a smaller group that would be interested in going in deeper. And I know our middle school and our high school are revamping their approach to advisory. And it looks like so many of these things would really be a great fit. So I just want to thank you so much and let our staff know that we will follow up and get feedback from you as far as next steps and more information that you would like to have. So thank you both so much for being with us.
Thank you for your service.
Yeah, and thank you to all the teachers and faculty and staff, because to get the school year up and running for the education of our kids, can do without everyone's teamwork effort.
And say hello to Morgan for us. Tell her that we are so proud of her.
I will, thank you. Bye.
All right, bye-bye. Thank you. And thank you all to our staff for being here. I hope that this was helpful, and we'll be in touch with more news if you would like some follow-up. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Oh,
there
quick. Yeah.
There we go.
Perfect. Yeah. Wow, look at all the people. Yeah. Awesome, okay. Now, in the meantime, I've got Colonel Chevalier, General Chevalier, and the tag.
Are we all done, Diane?
We are all done. Thank you, Rose.
Okay, thank you.
Take care.